Hey, you guys. Welcome back to Rocket City Yardstead. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. My name's Sarah, if you're new. So I am doing something I have been putting off for a while. Last year, I grew pole beans that were drying beans. I grew a Cherokee pole bean that is a black bean, and I grew rattlesnake pole beans with the intent of letting them dry and using them as pinto beans. And they have been sitting in baskets on my back porch since I harvested them last summer, and it's time to deal with them. Just full disclosure, I partly haven't done this because I didn't get a very big harvest. We just had a really dry summer last year, and my beans did not do well. And you know that saying, that comparison is the thief of joy. There is a YouTube channel I watch, a much larger YouTube channel, who, like a week after I planted all of my beans, planted the exact same varieties I did with the same purpose, and just had a beautiful harvest. But they have a much fancier setup than I do. They have a totally different weather environment than I do, and I shouldn't have been comparing myself. I have some beautiful beans in here, and I'm not sure there's going to be enough to can, but we'll still get some meals out of it. So I am opening them up and pulling the beans out, and we'll see how many we get to start with. But if we get enough to can, we will can them. And if there's not enough to can, then maybe we'll just cook up a nice batch of beans and see how they taste. Here is the final results of the shelling of the black beans. Somewhere a little bit over 3 cups. It's more than I thought I was going to have, so I'm pretty excited about this. I am going to get these rinsed up really well and soak them overnight, and then tomorrow we will can them. I'm going to go ahead and soak some other beans that I already have purchased. That way I just make sure I have enough for my canner. If you're not familiar, pressure canners, the Presto pressure canner anyway, says that you need to have at least 4 pint jars or 2 quart jars for the gauges to read correctly. So I will see you guys in the morning, and we'll can our beans. Good morning, you guys. Our beans have soaked overnight. They've swollen quite a bit here. And so our next step is to drain them, get them covered in fresh water, and then boil them for 30 minutes. Then we'll be able to can them up. Our beans have boiled for the 30 minutes. Got them all drained and rinsed off. And now I'm going to start jarring up. I put hot water in my jars just to help get them closer to temperature. I always try and make sure when I'm canning that I get my jars sort of in the same temperature range as what's going in them. And so we've got hot beans, hot water that'll pour over them. But let me tell you, I don't know why it hadn't occurred to me, but we make iced tea in mason jars too. And I cracked one really badly just a couple days ago. I was pouring the boiling water in, and I heard a tiny little crack, and I thought, oh no. And I went to pick it up and try and take it to the sink, and the whole bottom came off and all of the liquid went everywhere. I was doing a dance to get my feet free of that hot water. All right, where's my measuring thing? We need 1 inch of headspace for our beans. Perfect. I'm a little nervous I'm not going to have enough lids today. I did not think this through. I only have wide mouth lids at the moment, except for 2 regular mouth lids. I have plenty of regular mouth jars available, only 8 of the wide mouth. I may have to run to the store. Looks to me like I probably could have just done black beans and I would have had enough for a canner load, but I just wasn't sure. And so I soaked and boiled other beans that we could add to the canner. It'll be good to have them anyway, because as long as it takes to run the canner, it's nice to have it more full and get more bang for your buck, so to speak. Swap out our beans for the other kind and see how many jars of these we get. These were just some great northern beans that I got from Azure Standard. I'm not sponsored in any way by them, you guys. I just really like their products. I think I'm just going to experiment a little bit here. I have enough of both kinds of my beans to make one extra jar if I mix them together. So I think I'm going to do that. Actually, let's dump them and get them all mixed together. They'll probably end up darker, is my assumption, with the black beans in there, but people can beans mixed together all the time. We'll see how it goes. It's kind of pretty going into the jar right now. I really can't believe it, you guys, but this came out exactly to the 10 jars I had. I mixed this one together, so we'll see how that goes. So now we're going to add half a teaspoon of salt to each of these jars. And we will top them with boiling water. We still need to debubble the jars, and it might need some more water. So I will get a little bit more heated up. This kettle is old, and the lid does not come off very easily anymore. Hot. Okay, on to the debubbling. Just like when we made the coleslaw last week, debubbling is really important with beans because there's so much room for air to get trapped. I do want to double check my headspace here. I might not actually need extra water. Beans are one of my favorite things to have on my pantry shelf, canned, just because it's so much faster. You know, you put in the work one day to can a bunch of jars, and then you're saving a bunch of time later on, not having to soak and boil and cook your beans. They're just ready for you right out of the jar. Excellent. Let's wipe these rims off and get our lids on. So now my jars are all ready to go in the canner. I've already put 5 here in the bottom, and I'm gonna add this guy in the middle and do my other 5 jars. The canner only comes with one of those. I can't for the life of me think of what that is called at the moment, but you can buy extras on like Amazon. Sometimes I think at stores that sell canning supplies. I've even seen people get them for really cheap at thrift stores. I was not that lucky. I had to buy my extra one off of Amazon. But get our lid on here. Ooh, if I can line it up like I'm supposed to. Oh, you know what? I put my pot on backwards to what I normally do. Just spin that around. And now it lines up like I expected it to. So with that locked in, I'm gonna turn our heat up. We're gonna wait for this to pop, this to be venting, and we're gonna let it vent for 10 minutes. Here you can see our lock has popped up. And it doesn't come through on the camera, but there is a steady flow of steam there. So got our timer set for 10 minutes. After our canner finished venting for 10 minutes, I put our gauge on. I have a weighted gauge and I have it set for 10 pounds for my elevation because I'm under 1,000 feet. You'll need to check whatever your elevation is where you live to see what poundage you need. But we're just waiting for our weight to start rocking. And once it does that, it will have come to pressure and we'll set our timer for 75 minutes. Our timer is set and our beans are gonna pressure cook for 75 minutes. I did wanna mention, if you're new to canning beans, if you wanna do this in quart jars, you can also do that. The only difference here is that instead of 75 minutes, you will cook them for 90. Our timer just went off and I turned the burner off. So our weight has just finished rattling. We're gonna wait now until the pressure has completely dropped. This lock is gonna drop and then we'll be able to take the weight off. We'll let it sit for a few minutes and then we'll take our lid off. Time to take our lid off. So we always wanna lift that away from us. Oh man, the lid completely came off one of my jars. I knew I had heard something really loud, so I'm gonna bring you guys over and show you. I must not have had the ring on very good because it doesn't look like the jar is broken or anything. It just looks like it popped off. That's a new one for me. So these are all gonna have to be cleaned up. But at least it was some of the store-bought beans and not my homegrown ones. Get all of these jars out of the canner. They're all so dirty from that one jar popping open, but it could be worse. It could have been a broken jar. That would have been a bummer. Here's our mixed jar of beans. It's pretty. Oh, our popped open jar. That went better than I expected. You can see all of these beans on top. They're beautiful black beans. I'm so excited about these. I've been canning beans for a few years now, but this is the first time I've ever been able to put up some of my own that I grew myself. There's something very exciting about that. So there we have it, 9 jars of beans. And I think we'll probably turn these into some bean dip or something because they taste good. They just obviously are not canned like they should be. But thanks for hanging out with me today. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is a great example of even a small harvest is worth something. We got 4 and I guess a half meals out of those black beans. So I'll see you next time. Bye guys.